What's up, YouTube? Let me just start off by saying that there's two very major things that I have to say here that are, it's just really definitely not something that I think is necessarily a shocker at this point with how many things I've been wrong about and just keep on realizing. I mean, there's actually a long list of things I've noticed that I've been wrong about on this channel that I haven't even talked about. And a long time ago on this channel, several months ago, I did mention how that's the case. I did mention how I may not get around to, I really didn't see the need to even make videos for them. And I still do not, I still don't see the need to do so. And I don't think I will. I don't think I will see the need to do so anytime soon. And yeah. So yeah. I just think that what is it? Anyway, so here's the thing, right? Turns out, the whole world is going to be saved very soon. And this time, my reasoning for saying that is it's a little bit different. The reason I say that is that the theory that I came up with a long time ago, in the past like year and a half, about how the supernatural, there is like the nullification of their desires, and so it happens like, it's not really there's some of their desires get nullified by each other, but like, as I had gone over how in the beginning of history there is a supernatural started off doing the same thing over and over. How do they stop doing that unless they had a change in their desire? Their desire allowed them to stop. Like stop stop doing that stuff over and over. It's like, obviously, that's the only explanation, but other than the other one I said, which is that there is an absurdity in them doing that, of course, with everything being paradoxical, which I've said for a long time. The other explanation, as I had said a long time ago, was just as likely to be true and is also the true explanation, which is that it's not been their desire. It's just been, it's not random either. It's just like, it's just a product of their essence. Variations basically like start to exist as a reflection, or as a like imitation of other variations, because they can't exist without each other. So that's the logic behind that, and this would necessitate that, like, I've been wrong to say that, like, I kept saying there's going to be a wish that's granted by the supernatural. Like, everybody's going to desire there to be all of history reset for the entire multiverse. But like that, I think it's gonna happen. But to say that the supernatural has the power to desire things, to make things magically happen based on their desire is true. Um, but only for one part of the origin story of the supernatural, in which it was the one where um, they had to stop doing what they were doing over and over by desire. The other part of it where it doesn't have to be that, where it's just they stop doing it because of how variations like work the way I just said earlier. Based on that, I would say that it's possible that there is like no way for how do you say this? There's no way that it's not a possibility that the cycle of the hierarchy can't be defied another way. Say that has to be defied through magical desires. I think it's kind of like a mix, between the two things I said. I kind of gave like a half-assed explanation a few months ago when I said that, like, it's gonna just be, they're gonna desire for the entire history to be reset. That's gonna do it. But how is that possible if, how do I say it? It's not really possible because, if you think about it, how do I say this? It's just not. It has to be like a middle ground between those two things, two explanations, for it to all be consistent for all these things to have happened. I just think that part of the hierarchy cycle is that in the beginning they started to change their desire. It started to change, and yeah, not out of randomness, but out of themselves, and which is time travel, of course. So this would mean that if they are going to be able to reset history and they're going to be able to break the hierarchy cycle, it's because they using time travel, they are desiring things that magically make things happen based on the desire. And it's also based on the other factor, which is it's also because of, like I said, variations. Like, it's just necessities of the variations causing them to be able to time travel, gain the ability to time travel, and gain the other abilities to change the hierarchy cycle, and defy it. If anything, it's actually more likely that it won't come to a point of it being that it's going to take generations and centuries, like I said. And I just discovered this recently, because, I realized that it's just as likely that the ability of the supernatural to, like, how do I say it? Just produce their own variations that will take care of them in their purpose, merely by themselves existing. This is taken care of. So, is there really any risk that it will take centuries? Like I said, no. There's no risk. It doesn't make any sense. Just say that there is. They would be able to. This would because they would be able to time travel so much just through their own variation magic and the offspring of them that are their variations will give them all these time travel perks and qualities that will allow them to, of course, like have this existence we're in be a hierarchy, but also be some kind of defiance of hierarchy logic anyway. And it's a paradox, but it's just still gonna, like I gave evidence. There's paradoxes that happen anyway. We can only observe they happen. We can't say how, but if you have evidence that they do, then you just have to accept that that's how there's going to be some things that just will happen, and that you take all of those instances of paradoxes and put them together to form a story or a semblance of a story that is, like I said, it's just what my religion has been, and like my followers' religion has been, and honestly, what all religions have been, because again, all religions have some version of paradoxes in them, one way or another. But anyway, back to what I'm saying. This is how do I say this? Yeah, so this is just the first part of the video that I finished to show you why it's going to happen sooner because than century is going to happen soon, because I kind of just overlooked what I already brought up when I first brought it up. It's not just their ability to desire things. It's not just abilities they already have that can already alter or change the hierarchy in ways that don't make sense. It's the abilities they can acquire passively while passively existing that come from external. They pretty much give each other these abilities because there's no way for them to not give themselves these abilities because they are already so paradoxical in their nature, in their essence, that this will cause they basically force each other. If they force each other's existence to be impossible in a number of ways, and this alone happening will pretty much cause time travel paradoxes in certain sections of history. And so, of course, because of this, well, there's no way that it's possible for there to be, how do you say it, any form of, like, you know, evidence to say I was right originally. It's going to take centuries. Um, so, yeah, I mean, it's just, that's what it is. But, like, what else? I was going to say that there's something else I noticed, which is that this syllogism is pretty much the strongest syllogism I have for converting people out of common indoctrination. Okay. Out of all the syllogisms I've showed on this channel, they're all extremely strong, obviously, and highly convincing, but this is the strongest one. Now, obviously, you shouldn't argue with me on this, as you know, I'm the sole proprietor of all this stuff, so my opinion on this is, shouldn't be challenged. But look, regardless, at the end of the day, let's say I'm right, okay? If this is really true, then this entire syllogism could save the world, and I'll tell you why. The past, I'd say 30 minutes, I started brainstorming because earlier in the day, the past 2 days, I have made attempts to have this syllogism, or at least certain versions or variations of this syllogism. I've spread it out throughout the internet in a lot of places where a lot of people have seen it. And I just want to say that it's been convincing for a lot of people, but not but for the most people in the world who've seen it, um, I don't know. Most of the ones that saw it, it hasn't been convincing. Um, and yeah, I just not too sure why that is. Either that or maybe maybe it has been convincing, but a lot of the people just didn't want to spread the word. It's very possible. I mean, look at me, how I started on earlier parts of this channel. Like when you know, I used to think that, okay, well, these theories are out there on the internet and people are seeing it. Like, it's only some people. Like, obviously, like, I used to say on this channel, you can go back and look. I'd say, okay, well, if I share this stuff on this channel, nobody's gonna believe it. If I share this stuff on the channel, throughout the internet, nobody's gonna believe it. And that's just not true. Obviously, there's been a kind of obviously been a roller coaster of figuring out more and more of the factors behind the responses of my videos and my elsewhere of however I've put my theories on the internet or off the internet. So obviously, I just think that how do I say it? It's very possible that I say this. There's it's probably just a lot of these people did see it, what I put in the past few days, and just said, you know what? Well, we don't think that this may be true, but it's not like we have to share it or like it, because even if we do, it's not going to have a huge impact. But you know what? It's okay because I found a solution. And that is that we're basically going to take this syllogism, and instead of doing what in the past few hours I thought was a good idea, which was to email the mayor of my city, which is Princeton, Illinois, and also email the top scientists in the world using a website called Skype a Scientist. Ironically, those are horrible compared to what I've just come up with in the past, I'd say 30 minutes, which is, something I should have realized I could have done many months ago when I was spreading other highly convincing theories, having brainstormed about doing something where I would take those theories and put them into emails, try to give these emails to every email in the world. I had hoped it was possible, but I looked it up and it's not. And then I brainstormed about doing it with text messages instead, but I looked it up and it says it's not possible. However, what I did come up with is something pretty brilliant regardless, and it is that didn't think of it then, but I realized that what I can do is I can just gain access to every single phone number on the planet pretty easily. And like when you go to your text messages on modern software, obviously everyone knows you just hit add all the phone numbers that it can take at once in the increments of which you can do and send the message. And that's what I'll do. And I'll do it for every single phone number on the planet. And if I do this, extremely fast, either way, it's going to go viral. So many people will notice this happening. That they'll start to notice this happening. Everybody will know this is happening to each other. But also it's more just in the fact that they'll just be convinced by what they're reading anyway. And, from that happening, obviously, the world will be saved and cured. Finally realize I've been right all along. But yeah, I will tell you that it's pretty easy to gain the phone numbers because it's a finite amount of combinations of numbers. You could just go to a math number generator, which are free to use. Just give you, a combination of all the different possible phone numbers that can exist at once, which is a finite amount, and you can't really add to that amount, obviously. And that's it. And just send it out. Might take, I don't know how long it would take, honestly, because I don't know how much my phone by itself can handle for, stuffing it all into one inserted, like text message, data block, or whatever you want to call it. So, yeah. Like, I have a Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. So, with it being a pretty, high-end new phone, pretty much expect the top results. But even so, let's face it. It's not like it's gonna, really, it's really gonna do anything as far as necessarily being allowing me to just finish this in, say, an hour. But I don't know. It might. I haven't done the math in my head or calculations to know how much. I'm just saying I have no idea. But we're about to find out, obviously. The world's going to find out. And, I just think that it's sad that it took me, when I started this channel, 2021. This is crazy. Where are we? October? November, December, January. We're only 3 months from 2026. It's almost been 5 years of bickering and bickering and bickering. 5 years of, misconception, studying paradoxes and restudying them, and studying all these different fields of study, making all these discoveries, but always having some loose ends to tie up that I could not, really understand due to my own mental health issues, due to all kinds of, more important things to focus on in life, like working a job, regular stuff, trying to get rich as well. So yeah, look, at the end of the day, that's all there is to say in this video. Obviously, there's no way that saying anything else extensively here makes sense. You should just start getting those numbers ready. So yeah, thanks for watching. Goodbye.